take off the waiting room and I'm going to admit everybody. Hey, everybody brought their marshmallows? Hello, connecting to audio. Everybody's connecting. Hello, hello. So I am Janet Joy Wilson and I screwed up. So I apologize to all those people who tried to join maybe a little while ago and realized that their Zoom IDs were not going to work for this meeting. So that was all copy and pasting the wrong number at the end of creating 7 events on Eventbrite and Zoom. So it goes to show that, you know, Ms. Perfect, as I try to be, is not. But you know what my new mantra is the new, not perfect is the new perfect. And I'm doing that pretty darn good this evening. So I see more people are coming in. This is great. And it's just a minute after 9. So the sun has set. Bill, will you tell me, Bill?
Yes.
Bill, can you hear me? Look
Yep.
up, look way up. Are the stars out?
It's a clear night and just gazing around, they'll be out forthwith.
Okay, so forthwith, the stars will be out. And in the meantime, I will, for the last time today, do my welcome to the 5th annual book talk, celebrating Earth Day through the lens of literature and through this new portal of connecting with each and every one of you. And it is a fundraiser for the Canadian Ecology Education Foundation. And I am so, wow, what a day. I wasn't going to do this right now. I'll leave it for after. Okay, I'm pinning that. I'm putting that sidebar to reflect on what the whole day is, because this is my introduction. So what I wanted to let you know, and I'll show you a couple of things here for those who may not have been around the block with me earlier. This is where we should be. But the protocol for tonight is that you are in the meeting muted during the first part, and then depending on how many arrive around the campfire, we'll either unmute everybody, or it will be please share your thoughts or questions in the chat, or raise your digital hand, of which the instructions are in the chat box. So I've laid that all out for how to do that. And if I had started recording, I would say, oh, it is recording. So we are being recorded. I check. Okay, that's done. So we are all being recorded. And I will share that, the whole video later. This session is due to end, well, 9:30, 9:45. We'll see how the campfire stays going, and if anybody, burns all their marshmallows, then it's time to go home. I wanted to share with you our land acknowledgement, which is really important to us. The Mattawa River is associated with Indigenous history, the exploration of Canada, and the fur trade. We recognize the enduring presence of Indigenous peoples connected to and on this land. And we're very grateful for the opportunity to work within the Robinson-Huron Treaty Territory. The land on which we gather is the traditional territory of the Anishinaabe people, and specifically the Nipissing First Nation. We are committing ourselves to the work of reconciliation with Indigenous peoples. And speaking of the land and where Bill Steer, who is renowned for his love of Northern Ontario and the great outdoors. He is a regular on CBC Morning North as Backroads Bill. And he is the founder, originator, general manager, headmaster of the Canadian Ecology Centre, which is one of Canada's leading environmental education centres. So without further ado, I would like to offer Bill Steer, AKA Backroads Bill, the Zoom campfire stage. Over to you, Bill.
Well, thank you, Janet Joy. As I often say to people, I'm glad to be here with you. And of course, right over here, you can see the virtual fire and all the trimmings that go with it. Uh, I've come prepared because here is the wiener stick. And just over here, I want to make sure that you know that we have marshmallows and that we have a package of wieners. It's been gotten into, so to speak, but because of we've been, oh, listen to that. My goodness gracious. What karma is that?
Is that a whole pack? Like of wool, not just hot dogs.
That is sounding shivers down my spine, and we'll thank Mother Earth for that. The wolves are all around us, and I'm glad to be here, as I said, with you and in nature. I'm not Henry David Thoreau, but I can reflect. I want to tell you a little bit about the context. We are around the fire. I'm facing west, so I can see the glow of that final horizon as the sun has set. So I'm facing west. Obviously, behind my back is east, and north is over my right shoulder. But I'm between the main building, and a lot of you have been here, between the main building and Ani. And in the very back side of me is Frank's, named after Frank Dettori. So I'm sitting outside here, and again, I have this virtual fire. I feel quite at home here. And I'm going to reflect a little bit about what's happened today, because I've been on to all the authors and talk about a couple other things. And then maybe we'll take some questions and have some comments about Earth Day. We started out the day, and I think George Cucci's online, and it was a wonderful, wonderful start with that smudge and with his granddaughter, Faith. And what stuck with me about that was when he talked about the spark. And I want to thank George that we know our sparks are going to glow when we come out of this. And so I really, really, really like that. We then, at 11:30, I guess it was, Wob was on his break, Bob uses rice, and we listened to him talk about how important the bush was to him and how his environmental influences was to him with regards to his novel. And Wob's going to be moving on shortly from the CBC, and we expect more great things from him. I guess after Wob, it was Terry Campbell. And even though there was a bit of a technical glitch during her session, we learned all about the truth. And then it became a bit of a cliffhanger. She came back on and filled us in about the story of the Truth Sisters. And then we all want to receive those 10 tips how to write a story as far as storytelling is going. Andrew Forbes this afternoon, his collection of short stories, what I came away with there was that I think it's probably harder to write a short story than it is other things. And of course, he filled us in about a lot of the background. And the other thing it stuck with me too, because Janet Joy has asked all the authors about their connection with nature and their inspiration. And he made a nice comment about our children, our students are resilient and adaptable. And that's what's going to happen very quickly when we come out of this and we learn to recongregate. Then I listened to Gary Barwin. He is a funny guy. And I likened him to Shel Silverstein, the poet, who was really, really important when I was teaching my children and my students, I should say. And Gary he talked about squirrels, and he talked about deer, and he's going to talk about the trees, and he's well traveled, and he's truly a funny guy. And I know Janet Joy referenced the fact that her face was aching after that session. And he came to us in his backyard in Hamilton. We just heard Christine Fisher-Guy and the Umbrella Mender, and took us to Moose Factory and another type of epidemic. And I really enjoyed her slideshow and the music from Sarah Harmer. And I thought, oh, what a great day it was. But I was thinking about a couple of things, and I'll do this slowly, because this is our 5th annual Mattawa River Writers Festival. And I was gathering them things, and I came across some of our former authors. Here's Perdita by Hilary Sharper. I'm just going to hold these up towards the camera very quickly. Helen Humphreys, Machine Without Horses. That was another year. I know Janet Joy will like this one. Roy McGregor, A Northern Light, and many, many other books. Just thinking of all the great Canadian authors we've had here at the Canadian Ecology Center. Oh, Kate Harris, Lands of Lost Borders. What a treat she was, and so well traveled. Oh, the motorcycle writer, Catherine Kutenbauer, All the Broken Things, another wonderful novel. One of my favorites, Diana Beresford Kruger and the Sweetness of a Simple Life, all about the chi and the aromatherapy from the trees, very, really important. Unearthed by Alexander Risen. And a long time ago, I don't think this was year one perhaps, Alone Against the North. I know Marcus Schwabi on the CBC was talking about him this morning, Adam Schultz. So there's a whole bunch of books that I came across. I want to talk about the Mattawa River because this is the Mattawa River Writers Festival. And I know it's a little grainy because I'm outside here, but here's a map I did a long time ago in a faraway land, the Mattawa River map. And right on there, it's depicted the ochre mine. And so when I listened to the authors today, I thought to myself, a lot of them did readings. So I went onto the bookshelf and I found my first book that I wrote northwards in 1990, 30 years ago. And I thought to myself, well, I'm going to read just a couple of quick paragraphs just to set up that ochre mine that's on the Mattawa River. And the next time you're here, I'm going to take you to that ochre mine because we're not going to be doing this virtually. We're going to be back and doing the things we like to do in the great outdoors together. Now we're going to have to learn how to recongregate, but nonetheless, we are going to have the 6th annual Mattawa River Writers Festival right here. But this short story in this book, Northwards, is called Unknown Pictures. And I'm just going to read the first couple of paragraphs. I thought, oh, this is probably the only thing I've written very well, but I'll just start with the first couple of paragraphs. Our heritage is preserved in many ways. Through artifacts housed in museums and historical plaques, marking sites important enough to preserve, producing a lasting record of man's contributions. There is, however, another less frequent way, through the complex Indian rock paintings, pictographs, left by generations of woodland dwellers who inhabited the country before the white man arrived. Within the maze of islands and narrow channels that comprise the scenic French River is one of the few remaining examples of that Aboriginal legacy. Within one narrow passage is a high precipice. Near the bottom of the overhanging vertical rock face, close to the water, is a stone canvas from the past. The abstract symbols made by a native artist long ago are an impression, a story perhaps, of the important values in their own lifetime. I was at that ochre mine the other day, and I thought to myself, the Mattawa River truly is loaded with history. And of course, we've had this land acknowledgement and photos that Janet Joy has put together, and I think that's really, really important. A couple of other things that I just want to mention. I was going through some books and I wondered, and we are going to talk about Earth Day for just a moment. And of course, one of my favorite Dr. Seuss books right here, The Lorax by Dr. Seuss. And of course, the other one, next time you come up, we're going to go down to the Campion Rapids, and everybody deserves a rock. We're going to pick up our own rocks for our Mattawa River Writers Festival, for sure. I don't know what Mother Earth is thinking, but I thought to myself, maybe she thinks we're an adolescent or a teenager, and she's grounded us and sent us to our rooms to think for a while what we've done to ourselves. And so we've had time to think, and we've heard the commentaries over the many days and weeks now, what we can do in the future. And let's hope we do that. And we'll leave that for another day, and we may hear from all the people that are online right now. I think daughter Allie might be on, and she's probably the furthest person away in Alaska, safe and sound. But I was thinking how important nature is. She is involved in outdoor cognitive behavior therapy, and we all know how important nature is. what I was thinking about the other day here at the Canadian Ecology Center. I was thinking about all the many, many years of all those students here, and that cacophony of noise and jibber jabber and voices that are coming and going, whether they're over in Frank's eating or outside congregating by the flagpole just behind me. But you know what? I can't hear them now. I can't hear them. And it makes me sad. And it's going to be a long haul, but I know the big brains of Laura, Heather, and Coral, we're going to figure this out, and we're going to get back on track, because we don't make widgets here. We don't manufacture widgets. We have to deal with people congregating to be with nature. And that's going to be difficult, and it's going to take a while, because school trips are not going to be the most important thing on the menu when schools come back. So it's going to be a long haul, and this is just a small ask that sometime you may donate to the Canadian Ecology Center now or later, and you can donate in other ways. Come up and stay in a cabin when you want to get out right away when the restrictions have been lessened, or bring a group, or make sure your school knows that we're open for business, because the Canadian Ecology Place is a great place for learning naturally. I talked about these books when I read a little bit, and that's a lead into thanking Janet Joy, because all those authors, those leading Canadian authors I mentioned, would not be here without her tireless work and determination, especially this year, learning all those technological skills. And I think everything went off wonderfully well. And I'm not going to reach over onto my laptop and pull out and put my hand up and put the clap sign, but we'll all do this together now for Janet Joy, because it's been a wonderful day. All the other years have been spectacular, and we're going to be carrying on with that. So Janet Joy, I really do thank you. And it's not work, it's an avocation. And I can only say that the Canadian Ecology Center thanks you very, very much. And I was thinking, you know, I can see light over there in the west. I can see the darkness, but I see light, and I'm looking forward to the light of determination and getting back out with nature, and how important it is to us all. So with that, we have challenges ahead, but with that, I'd take any queries or comments at all. And it's just been a great, enriching day, to be sure. I'm gonna warm myself up by the fire right now.
You need some chaga.
Yes,
George, you need to give Bill some chaga. Thank you for the thanks, because I did produce 2 events this year. One is here now, but thank you. I absolutely do it because I believe in the Outdoor Education Center and the people who work there, your team, the hearts. So I have a question as others may decide to raise a hand or type it into the chat area. My question to you, Bill, is, given the importance of nature in our lives so that children don't experience nature deficit disorder, and sorry, I'm going to sidebar that. I looked up nature deficit disorder again. That was coined in 2005 by Richard Louv. It was from his book, The Last Child in the Woods, Saving Our Children from Nature Deficit Disorder. And so it's been around in our vocabulary for 15 years, which is really extraordinary. And so, given that importance, and this is what you've given your life towards, with the park closings and the physical distancing and the self-isolation, and I know you have some ideas about how we do come together in the future, because you're also a school trustee. Like you have, your work and your passion in so many different areas, but it's all about kids, and it's all, at the end of the day, about getting them around a fire and about hearing that sound of unreleased joy, of being free range, and yet providing them with education that you do within your center. So I know you've been thinking a lot about it. So what are some, maybe a vision you could share with us, or thoughts that, we could in turn in our own ways at home with our families, think about as well?
Yeah, I was looking over my left shoulder here at Barney the bear, but he's being well behaved tonight. But we are going to have to learn how to recongregate, and I have written some pieces, and it's on the Canadian Ecology Center site, Canadian Ecology, all one word, .ca, under the Backroads Bill tab under who we are. But I know we're going to have to be thinking about, and Heather, Laura, and Coral, we've talked about this, certainly for the summer credits. Are they actually going to run? I mean, I just sent a piece to the Minister of Education about this, that my recommendation is to cancel school for the rest of the year, because we're going to have to learn how to recongregate, and we're going to have to learn how to recongregate here at the Canadian Ecology Center. What does that mean? Does that mean that in the first blush that parents are going to come with their students and know that they're stay in the cabins, or are we going to prove our state of health some way, whether it's by assessment or the ongoing screening, which we're probably going to happen anyway. And then what are we going to do with regards to the students getting together, because they're full of energy and they want to be together. So we're going to have to look at all these things. It can be done. I see a transition over, it'll go by semester, it'll go by holiday break, where we'll look at what we've done and how we could make it better or lessen what we've done, because they are resilient, they are adaptable. But by rote learning and teaching, we're going to have to change our behavior a little bit, because they and all of us are going to be the transmitters of sort, and we're going to have to really come to grips with where we are in our state of health. So these kinds of things, I wrote in one essay, the thermometer will be like a toothbrush, because we'll be doing that every single morning, and we may have an app that'll come on, and we'll have to show that app and prove that before we get on the bus, before we go into school. I've thought that school in the first blush might have smaller classes. They may be rotational days. All kinds of things can happen, so we can get back to where we were and enjoy them, and enjoy life, and enjoy the great outdoors, and come up here to the Canadian Ecology Center to be sure.
Thank you. Anybody have any thoughts you want to share around the campfire? Any songs? Got any songs for around the campfire? Because, like, no one's giving me a marshmallow over here. So,
there was a great big moose.
Bill, you know what? Our previous 4 years of festivals, there's always at the end of the book talk day, the hugest of campfires, because Bill, he goes big. He doesn't go home. He goes big with the campfires. It's roaring, and the conversations and the I don't know, the friendships that are instantly made around a campfire. What is it about that? Is it the spark? It's a different kind of spark than what George shared with us this morning, but I think it still is that spark of what the spirit within us, the spark that we want to connect. And even though this is online, and and I'm looking at everybody's, some of their names, some people have an iPad as a name, and all the little icons with microphones are crossed out, and it makes me very sad to see that. We're connected, and yet you know what, I'm going to unmute us all. I'm unmuting us all. And then, so if you got anything going on in your house, you can mute yourself.
Well, I will say this. I've often, fire is my friend.
Here we go. Here we go. I may have to. I just let it go. Let it go, Terry. Yeah.
It's just
Teresa, how are you?
Good.
George, how are you?
good, Bill.
Good.
Yeah, the best one of the best.
There's Christine. Thank you for joining us, Christine.
I came to the campfire. Can we see the campfire?
Yeah, right there.
Isn't it, like, that's not the real campfire?
Absolutely. I can feel the warmth from it right here. We're not allowed fires in the province of Ontario, but I have one going.
Photoshop.
It's a whole bunch of lamps, I can tell you that.
But it's
Great
because
paper.
there's a campfire ban on, right? A fire ban.
This will make a fire with crepe paper and lots of lamps and the Christmas lights that I had to pick off the ground from Christmas in the Court. Mark me massage. Oh, there's one of my favorite students right there.
Hi, Bill.
How are you?
I'm good. How are you?
Very good. And I saw Claire there too. She's another favorite. She just came back she just made it out of Costa Rica in time.
Christine Burns has written, as adults, we still have an inner child, and the outdoors is so important to all of us. Isn't that the truth?
It is indeed.
Can you see the stars yet, Bill?
Yes, I can. Right, and funny you say that, because right over the peak of the roof, I'm looking at. We don't have the observatory open, but and that's going to happen enough. So, Jeff Scott. Jeff.
Hi, Jeff.
Good evening.
Oh, who was this? I didn't look. I didn't know.
It's kind of like what happens around a campfire. It's just a free-for-all.
Fire is our friend, for sure. All the good things happen around a fire.
Hey, Bill, I wanted to say hello. My username is Rad Racer. It's Katie, but I can't be on the screen. I got a concussion, but I wanted to say hi and let you know it's me. I'm a big deal. I'm over here in St. Catharines.
Katie, you are a big deal, to be sure.
I love that you're doing this, and I've really enjoyed. George, thank you so much for this morning, and Janet Joy for being the host, and for all the people who shared and who did such great writings. And anyway, just wanted to say hello.
Thank you. Oh, somebody's got.
Let's sing.
Hey, who's got the guitar? I've got a guitar, but I can't play. How's that? And it's not in tune.
I've got an idea, Janet Joy. You should learn how to play the guitar.
Okay, I will for next time. Oh, well, before I close this off, would anybody else like to say anything? Campfires last forever, but I've just completing a 12-hour day of doing this, so I'm going to be going back to my cabin. So that means I'm going to be ending the meeting.
One other thing.
Made Earth Day a very special one.
Yeah.
Oh, thank you.
Janet Joy is special, like Beeb here, and Beeb the alien, and also Wilson's cousin of Castaway, a ball I found this spring in the river. So it's probably a good place to leave this off. But I thank all the authors and Janet Joy again, and all the participants throughout the day, and we'll look forward to seeing you the next time.
All right, so I have closing remarks.
Oh yes, okay.
Let me disregard what I just copied in there. I don't know why that went weird. It was something else I had in my thing. Let me do a final message here. A heartfelt thank you. So for myself, who started, this before 10 o'clock this morning, and with George and Faith, who shared with us his story about the spark and smudging and the Shega and their song. It just set the tone for a really extraordinary Earth Day, one I've never had like this before. And one of the things you say about smudging is it's because we want to do things in a good way. And I've been thinking about that a lot. And I think, you know, persevering with a virtual,
No, they are.
persevering with an event online, because we want to do good things. We want to bring us together and celebrate Earth Day. And so tonight, finishing with Bill's spark, his virtual campfire, and the spark that originated in 1990 with your idea for a Canadian Ecology Center and grew to be a thriving nonprofit outdoor education center serving hundreds of students, teachers, and kids all these years. So I wish for all of you for Earth Day, and every day should be Earth Day, is to remember the importance of being outdoors and to protect our natural resources, and to carve out that time for you during a day to be in nature. You know, I think of Terry's storytelling workshop and storytelling as medicine. Being outside, being outdoors in nature for however long that is very healing. So with a spark from me to you, I am going to officially close this day, our first virtual book talk, and I wish you all peace, and I give you my thanks for joining us.
Thank you, Janet.
Joy. Thank you, Janet Joy.
Namaste.
Namaste. And now I will save the chat and close the meeting. Good night, everybody.
Good night, Janet.
Okay.
Bye. Bye.